Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you to start the week. First, Lori Vallow's trial started today with opening statements and first couple of witnesses. And guess what? She's actually doing pretty good. Better than some attorneys I've seen. The Karen Reed trial makes no further progress, getting no new jurors. Chris Watts says it wasn't my fault. Leave the mayor who got arrested for DUI alone. A bizarre torture murder case. We have this day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
Lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Before we get started, though, remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com. Sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you'll be able to do as many background searches as your heart desires on anyone here in the United States. And listen, the report is literally prepared while you wait. You can view it. You can have it emailed to you. You can get updates, and it's going to have information about phone numbers, emails, social media presence, criminal history. Do people have judgments, liens against them? Are they on one of those registries that people don't want to be on? Those are the kinds of things you're going to be able to find out. Listen, you can do as many searches as you want, or you can do just one and you can cancel at any time. Go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, let's go ahead and get straight to the docket for Monday, April 7th, 2025. And yes, finally, ladies and gentlemen, the trial for Lori Vallow has started there in Chandler, Arizona. And let's be clear, it has taken a little bit of time for this trial to get here. Obviously, she had that little pesky matter in Idaho where she was convicted of the deaths of her two children and her fifth husband's wife, Tammy Daybell. So anyway, Lori Vallow is on trial for the death of her husband number 4, killed by her brother, Alex Cox, who's now deceased. And she's charged with conspiracy to commit murder. And the motive, according to the opening statements, obviously was the money from life insurance and the Social Security money that she was going to be entitled to as a widow, and the children would get money as well. So the opening statements were done today. The prosecutor, very polished, very straightforward. This is what you're going to see. Laid it out very succinctly that the crime scene just didn't make sense. Basically saying, hey, Alex Cox was a southpaw. So the way the bat was positioned wouldn't be consistent, and therefore you can't trust that evidence. And then the coroner's going to come in and explain everything, how he was shot, the angle of the bullets, all that kind of stuff. Got it, right? Then Lori Vallow gets up. And yes, I admit it, she kind of sounds like somebody in law school or somebody doing one of their first trials saying, the evidence will show, the evidence will show. And the reason why they say that is because the opening statements are supposed to be a roadmap of what is the evidence that you're going to see. So you say the evidence will show that these are the facts you're going to hear. I've seen some people do it. The facts are this, or simply explain it without saying the evidence will show. But for her first time, and this pains me to say it, ladies and gentlemen, she actually did a pretty good job. She did a pretty good job on her opening statement, saying the evidence will show. She's basically going to say, hey, we were married for, I think it was 13 years. We had some problems. Charles, her husband, Vallow, couldn't get along with Tylee. He went back to Houston. She stayed there. They came back. This big fight erupted that day, etc. And basically make it out to be a big family accident, tragic accident, and therefore no crime because there was no conspiracy. My God, I think she's been watching Crime Talk because she said it like I do. A conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit an illegal act, and she said there was no conspiracy. There was no agreement, that they wouldn't have had time to do this. Well, then we get to the first two witnesses. By the time we're doing this show, remember, it is an hour behind in Arizona because of daylight saving stuff or whatever they do. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is they're an hour behind Mountain Time where I am. So they do the opening statements. They do the first police officer who arrives on the scene. And then the prosecutor said no further questions. Lori Vallow gets up and actually does a pretty good job asking some questions. Well, you didn't follow procedures. You didn't even try to save Charles Vallow. The prosecutor actually had to do a little bit of cleanup because the questions by Vallow, I hate to say it, it pains me to say this, she did a pretty good job, ladies and gentlemen. If she sticks to the facts of the case, she may actually be able to do a decent job and may have a shot at this. We'll see. This could be a long, drawn-out guilty plea, but the first day, if I was a prosecutor, I'd think I'd be saying, she's better than I thought she would. And she's not talking about all this crazy stuff that everybody thinks she's incompetent. She seemed pretty competent today, that's for sure. So anyway, watch the trial. We'll put a link to the live trial that we did today so you can check it out. Let me know if you think she, I get it. Some people are going to be like, no, I hate her. She did a terrible job. I'm telling you, if you look at it objectively, not bad for her first time. Now, she has had the practice trial in Idaho that she lost and is going to spend the rest of her life in prison. So let's be realistic. But she did pretty decent. We'll see. Check out the link. Next, the Karen Read trial continues. Yes, the saga in Karen Read continues. The jury count holds at 10 after no new jurors were selected during now the 5th day of trying to impanel a jury. Now, obviously, Karen Read is accused in the death of her boyfriend, a former Boston police officer. And so far, we have 5 men and 5 women that have been seated on the jury. The court needs to seat 16 jurors, obviously 12 of which will actually deliberate. The rest will be alternates. Of the 45 people that were called today, Monday, 41 said they had heard about the case. 31 said they had formed an opinion about the case. And 13 said they have a bias about the case. So get rid of them. Anyway, 24 said serving as a juror for the length of time would be an extreme hardship. And each side has 16 challenges or 16 opportunities to get rid of a juror without giving a reason. And outside of the courtroom Monday, Read said she believes the prosecution has used one more than the defense bar so far. Okay. Anyway, she said, I think they've used one more than us. I think we've used 10. They've used 11, I believe is the number, she said. I guess she's now the spokesperson for herself since all the attorneys have a gag order in place. Now, with jury selection going into now the 6th day, this process is slow. It just amazes me. I mean, it just amazed me how difficult this process is. It shouldn't be that difficult. It can be fair and impartial. Understand jury duty is hard and inconvenient. 6 weeks is a long time, but do you think you'll be able to do it, right? I mean, I understand. Get rid of the people if they cannot serve. Just get rid of them. But it just amazes me. Why are we not going through the full day of this stuff? I mean, I don't know. It seems like we could get this done in just a couple of days. And Miss Read's attorneys are still asking the United States Supreme Court to throw out 2 of the 3 charges against her, including the second-degree murder charge. Read argues that the jury had privately found her not guilty of those charges. That argument has been rejected at every single level: the trial court, the appellate court, the habeas federal court, the appellate court at the Ninth Circuit, and yes, the Supreme Court will deny it as well because it is a terrible argument. It doesn't really matter unless it's made public. And then, of course, there's also the issue of the Read supporters suing, saying that the judge imposed an illegal zone. The plaintiffs say the 200-foot buffer zone outside of the courthouse is unconstitutional. Judge is not ruled as such. And also, just to make it clear, Miss Read has pled not guilty to the second-degree murder charges and all the other charges that she has. The prosecution says that she hit her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her vehicle outside of a home in Canton, Massachusetts during a snowstorm back in January of 2022, following a night of drinking. Her defense team has argued, however, that somebody else was responsible for the killing of John O'Keefe, and that Read is the victim of a police and system-wide cover-up. Oh yeah, and she now has 5 lawyers in the courtroom with her, including Victoria George, who served as an alternate juror during Read's first trial, who I think has no criminal experience, but hey, correct me if I'm wrong, what can you do? And just jumping back to that buffer zone issue, the The judge explained that the area of the buffer zone outside of the courthouse, because jurors from the first trial reported hearing demonstrators outside screaming and yelling during the deliberations, and the judge said the zone is necessary to prevent outside influence, interruption, and distractions. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Karen retrial, still no further progress made, and still no decision from the United States Supreme Court denying her request for cert. There you go. It will be denied, ladies and gentlemen. And next, Christopher Watts is back in the news. Now, I seem to recall talking about this before, but now suddenly it seems like news. So Chris Watts wrote some letters to God. And he has basically stated that he is not responsible for the death of his wife, Shanann, his daughter, Bella, and Celeste, or Cece, as she was known. And he basically says that he was led astray by a bunch of Jezebels and whores who continued to deflect responsibilities for his actions. The letters, reportedly written by convicted killer Chris Watts from prison, blame the women in his life for his actions, including the 2018 murder of his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. Now, reportedly, these new letters who have been seen by the Daily Mail say that they are addressed to God, describing the women as the cause of his downfall. In one letter, Mr. Watts referred to Nicole Kessinger, if that's her real name, since she had it changed, saying that he was misled. He was tempted by that Jezebel. I was weak and allowed myself to be fooled by the evil woman. She led me from the path of righteousness. I know that you'll deal with her someday. She will be judged. You know my heart, Lord. I am a man after your heart. I seek your face. I allowed her to sway me. He also blamed his wife, Shanann, reportedly describing her as domineering and self-absorbed. Now, obviously, Mr. Watts is serving multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole from the state of Colorado, but he is serving his time at the Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Now, he had pled guilty in 2018 to the murders of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, along with the unlawful termination of pregnancy because Shanann was pregnant. Like I said, the autopsy proved that at the time when she was strangled to death, and while her children were smothered, he buried their bodies at an on-site oil tanker owned by his then former employer. Chris Watts, the gift that just keeps on giving. Just when you think you're never going to hear from him again, he's back. Same old stuff, not accepting any responsibility, even though he pled guilty in a court of law, and he could have gone to trial. And, you know, the death penalty was abolished in Colorado. He could have gone, but that was the deal. Plead guilty, straight up to everything, multiple life sentences. You're going to die in prison for killing your family, your wife, 2 young girls, 2 young daughters, and your unborn child. And now he doesn't want to do it. That's called buyer's remorse, ladies and gentlemen. That's why the judges engage in that colloquy between a defendant whenever they enter a plea of guilty, so they can't sit there and say, oh, I didn't understand. My attorney didn't explain everything to me. It's all laid out. These are the rights you have. These are the rights you give up when you plead guilty. These are the possible penalties that are going to be imposed. Do you understand that? Do you still want to plead guilty? Are you pleading guilty because you in fact are guilty? Yes, yes, yes. We have videos on his plea. It is bulletproof. You need to just get over it. You know, Chris, the first step to rehabilitation is acceptance of responsibility. Just a little fatherly advice there for you, all right? Next, leave the mayor alone. The husband of a New Jersey mayor says that the public should leave her alone after she was allegedly caught drunk driving with their toddler in the car. It's not like she's the mayor of some big city, said Jason Carty of his wife, Lumberton Mayor Gina LaPlaca, who was arrested last month after she allegedly picked up her son at daycare and drove him home while she was drunk. Lumberton has only 13,000 people. All I want is for my wife to get better and for everyone to leave her alone. Now, Carty, a former fire chief for a local town in Philadelphia, inquired that LaPlaca is in an inpatient facility and on a path to recovery. LaPlaca was censured by the township committee last week and was asked to put her public duties aside by the governor. But the Democrat has refused to resign despite the body cam footage of her arrest going viral. The stubbornness has infuriated many locals from both sides of the political aisle. LaPlaca was seen stumbling and slurring her words after she was approached by a police officer outside of her $640,000 home about 5:40 p.m. on March 17th. An officer spoke with the mayor as she picked her young toddler out of the car, a BMW 5 Series, asking, "Are you okay?" "Yes, I am," she responded before staggering towards her car almost immediately as the police officer asked about the sedan's ruined passenger wing mirror. LaPlaca was ordered to take a field sobriety test on the street outside of her home, and after being asked what she drank, she responded, "A little bit of vodka." The mayor was seen struggling to place her foot in front of the other as she failed the test before she began weeping as she was placed into handcuffs. "I'm sorry," she added to the officer, to which she responded, "That's okay." Police said that they confronted LaPlaca outside of her home after a bystander reported seeing her driving erratically. The witness was seen in the body cam footage telling officers he saw LaPlaca's vehicle swerve off the road, and the footage showed the side wing mirror of the mayor's vehicle had been damaged. The witness went on to say that they grew more concerned after realizing that she had a child in the back seat, a young toddler. And after the mayor was arrested outside of her home, officers searched the vehicle and found a small liquor bottle and a water bottle with alcohol in it. Now we know why the mayor is in rehab. She obviously has a problem. Anyway, she reportedly told officers that she had just returned home from picking up her 2-year-old son from daycare. Shortly after arrest, LaPlaca's husband, Jason Carty, said that she was seeking treatment for addiction in rehab. We obviously wish the mayor the best, obviously. I hope that she stays clean and sober. That's the best thing that she could possibly do. Obviously, drinking is not illegal, but drinking and driving while intoxicated is. And when you're the mayor, even if it's a small town, you still should be held to a higher standard as everyone else because you're passing regulations, laws that affect everyday people. And if you can't follow the laws, how should you or why would you expect people to follow the laws if the people in charge aren't following the law? So, like I said, I wish the good mayor a swift recovery. I hope she stays sober. That's the best thing that can come from all of this, but she's going to have to face the consequences. And, she should probably resign. But that's just me. What do I know? And Miss LaPlaca is due next in court on April 28th. She may make that court appearance via WebEx if she's still in custody. All right, a little story about a bizarre torture and murder case. So a Florida couple allegedly suffocated a teen girl to death with a billiard ball. Not like the Magic 8 ball over here, but a billiard ball, ladies and gentlemen, a pool table billiard ball. Before chopping the victim up and stuffing the body parts in the trunk after torturing her for a week over a missing ring. So take a look at this guy. Stephen Gress and his girlfriend, Michelle Brandeis, needed to dispose of the victim's remains, but first they needed to celebrate Brandeis's birthday, according to police, and a search warrant there in the Tampa Bay area. So Gress and Brandeis ate chicken at Popeyes and then played mini golf at Congo River in Clearwater, according to the arrest affidavit. After their birthday bash, the two suspects allegedly drove around the Tampa Bay area looking for a place to dispose of Miranda Corsett's body. Now, Miranda was only 16 years old. Eventually, they found a dumpster near where Gress's grandparents live in Ruskin, Florida, and tossed Miranda's remains in the dumpster there. They got lucky. Police believe the dumpster was taken to a landfill and its contents included Miranda's remains and were incinerated. Now the prosecutors will have to try and convict the couple without a body. But helping the state's case, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, at least 6 people saw Miranda with the couple or knew she was being tortured, according to the arrest affidavit. Now, one of the warrants attempted to seek the contents of Gress's mother's phone, reportedly states per the police, Gress was known by neighbors to take disadvantaged women into his home. Miranda a mother of a 1-year-old child, was a frequent runaway with mental health and drug issues, according to the police. And detectives believes that Gress and Miranda met on a dating app and took her to his home back in mid-February. Gress allegedly spoke to neighbors about the girl and even bragged to them about hurting her. The little biatch stole my ring and won't give it back, he reportedly said to neighbors. So I've been beating her ass. That'll certainly help the state's case. Anyway, Gress also allegedly sent nude pictures of Miranda that showed her increasingly worsening injuries to at least 3 people, including his own mother. His mother denied seeing the pictures. While no one else has been charged, the district attorney has stated that there's a pretty good likelihood that there are more charges coming. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against Gress and Brandeis. Detectives who questioned the woman who lived with the defendants as well. She accused Gress of being abusive and would buy animals off Craigslist and kill them by throwing them off a bridge, according to the arrest warrant. And we know what they say about people who torture animals. We'll just leave it at that. Not good things. Anyway, not long into Miranda's stay, he accused her of stealing his ring. And that's according to the arrest affidavit. This sparked the week-long abuse and torture, according to the police. As the alleged torture continued, Brandeis said she found the ring. Oops. Anyway, the roommate thought Brandeis probably had it all along and took it so he would ditch Miranda, according to the arrest warrant. After killing Miranda, Gress and Brandeis placed the teen's body in his car and drove the remains some 15 miles away and placed the body in the dumpster. But it's also believed that she had been dismembered. Her remains were once again moved, this time to a dumpster about another 55 miles away. Miranda's grandmother, who had custody of her after both of her parents died, reported her missing to the Gulfport police back in February of 2024. And the Gulfport police commander and acting chief, Mary Farrand, said her department is very familiar with Miranda, who is a frequent runaway with a history of mental health issues and drug abuse. She was also the mother of an 11-month-old child. Her grandmother told Miranda was known to run away, and she usually returned home, but she didn't this time. And then on March 6th, a witness contacted police regarding information about a kidnapping and homicide. Police realized they already had Gress in custody, and after he allegedly pointed a harpoon at Brandeis and was in possession of drugs. Detectives quickly unfurled the case, and Brandeis turned herself into police on March 8th. Gress was quite chatty during his first appearance at court. We'll bring you updates on that. I think Miss Brandeis probably had the ring. And guess what? Tortured a billiard ball, for goodness sakes. A billiard ball? Oh my God. That's definitely going to their torture, extreme malice for death penalty type stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We'll follow that one. I bet Miss Brandeis rolls on Mr. Gress to get off of death row, so to speak, if she gets there. Prosecutor's got to prove it. We'll give them the presumption of innocence. Next, this day in legal history. On April 7th, 1891, Nebraska passes a law establishing an 8-hour workday, a significant labor law milestone that shaped workers' rights and influenced national legal standards. Who works just an 8-hour day? I would love to see that someday. Anyway, on April 7th, 1933, prohibition ends for beer with the Cullen-Harrison Act signed into law, making a major shift in U.S. policy on alcohol and reducing related crime enforcement. And on this day in 1943, the United States Supreme Court begins hearing West Virginia State Board of Education v. Barnett, a landmark case on free speech, deciding later that year, affirming legal right to refuse to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And on this day, April 7th, 1969, the Chicago 8 trial defendants are indicted with legal proceedings beginning later, which is tied to an April 7th anti-war protests, marking a milestone in U.S. protest law. And on this day in 1976, the United States Supreme Court hears arguments in Gregg v. Georgia, with a decision much later reinstating the death penalty, a major legal milestone argued on April 7, 1976. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. A Florida middle school principal said he did something dumb after he was arrested at Walmart for trying to engage in a shoplifting tactic he claims his friends bragged to him about and said it would work. Anyway, the Boke Academy North principal, Gregory Lewis, was at a Winter Haven Walmart in Polk County on Saturday afternoon when an arrest protection officer observed him skip scanning at the self-checkout stand. Now, Lewis has been caught placing a bag of disposable foam plates between more expensive items to steal them and only pay for the cheaper items. He had tried to steal a large pack of light bulbs, bacon, and frozen butterfly shrimp, totaling, wait for it, ruin your whole life, lose your employment for $37.45. This is all according to the arrest affidavit. The middle school principal, who admitted the crime, told the Winter Haven police officer during his arrest that his friends had told him about this shoplifting tactic and he just simply wanted to try it out. Apparently, he said, we were sitting around talking and they said, hey, I did this. Let me try and see what I can get away with. Lewis told the officer, who was wearing a body cam during the arrest, I did something dumb today and I understand it. Following his arrest, Lewis was booked into the Polk County Jail on a theft charge, a misdemeanor theft charge. Anyway, the Lake Wales Charles School interim superintendent said that Lewis has been placed on administrative leave pending review. I understand, ladies and gentlemen, we can all make mistakes, but do you really want to ruin your career, your livelihood, jeopardize your entire future over $37.34? No. That is why Mr. Lewis is our dumb criminal of the day. We'll give you the presumption of innocence, even though you confessed on body cam, but you get that. So not only did you admit you did something wrong, now you get to admit you won something, Mr. Lewis. Congratulations. You can put that on your resume when you're looking for a new job. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.